With pitchers and catchers reporting, we bring you the World Series odds preview, Major League over-unders, and remembering the late Tim McCarver. Diamond Diehards is on! Joe Rizzo here, bringing you baseball along with the dog, Jeff Healy. Yeah, we're back. We're back to baseball. Pitchers and catchers have reported. It is on a somber note, as we lost the great Tim McCarver, an excellent player and a Hall of Fame broadcaster, probably the best baseball analyst that we've ever really come across, considering his resume and his record and how many World Series he called, and especially here, as most of our fan base, not all of you, but most of you here in the New York, New Jersey metropolitan area grew up or remember or see highlights and hear them with Tim McCarver's voice as the backdrop, particularly for the Mets, for a while for the Yankees, and certainly for the 24 World Series that he called, 18 of them with Joe Buck, and so many other memorable moments of Tim McCarver's voice explaining the world of baseball to us under the guise of some of the biggest games ever played in the sport, at least over the last 40 or so years. We will be doing the show here once again on Facebook Live. So if you haven't joined the group, then please do so now. If you're on there checking it out, we appreciate that you're doing it. And don't forget to interact with us in the chat. Make your comments on there. And usually we're reading them as we go along where we can. And if you'd like to follow us elsewhere, Twitter's a good place. At Jeff Healy 8, that's the number 8, and at Diamond Diehards, that's for me. Dawg, a lot of memories about McCarver. Where could you start? You found a pretty good one on Twitter on Thursday.
Yeah, that was a real fun one. A real sort of combo for me of of one of my favorite players growing up, Rusty Staub. I just always he's just kind of come along right at that time when he came back to the Mets. Was just sort of a blast. I was just kind of getting into the Mets at that point, early 80s or so. And, Rusty was such a fan favorite that, from the jump, you had to love Rusty. And Mike Mayer from Mesmerized went and shared a great link, which I hadn't seen. You've seen before, but you haven't seen in a long time, most probably, of Rusty hitting a pinch hit home run to put the Mets up. I was guessing probably 85. I was looking at some of the guys on there. I'm pretty sure that was 85, from what I remember, with his bam bam bat and the two black hitting gloves and stuff. Very very distinctive Rusty. And just commented he just missed a home run, and then it's like, oh my god, the place would go crazy. It just happened. It was 2-0 game, sort of a downer game for the Mets, and all of a sudden Rusty hits the home run in the I guess must have been the 8th or something like that. So it was just tremendous. And McCarver with a great call on that. And Steve Zabriskie, who I really loved. That's kind of when I was first getting into, was those two guys would be on and stuff, and Ralph would be on as well. But it was kind of like McCarver and Zabriskie were really like the top two, and just with like sort of best interaction, frankly, between the two of them. So that was just a great call by McCarver and Steve kicking in as well. So that was really a touching moment. He spent half the back half talking about how he thought Andre Dawson caught the ball. I was like,
It's so funny.
Okay, I got it, Tim. And in fairness, it did look like he caught the ball.
It really
could
did.
have caught the ball. I mean, it was really close out there, but it's like, okay, way to kill the lead at the end there.
Yeah, but, I remember seeing that and like thinking that he caught the ball. Like that actually is what made me remember the clip.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's what made McCarver great, though. I will say that, like, it wasn't just a homer call or something like that. I mean, literally, a homer call, but like a hometown call. Like, McCarver would talk and highlight the stuff from the other team, and like the other team trying to make a great play and stuff like that. I mean, that's something I think was sort of special, that he helped bring to the table. And some guys didn't appreciate that. Like they had other clips on there, like Eddie Murray being angry because McCarver wasn't a homer as an announcer. But that's what made him real, and that's what made him so popular. Not only with the Mets, but obviously to the Yankees and to the national broadcast as well.
So I got to do like a quick aside. I should have probably done it right in the opening. I got to give producer Xavier Rizzo a little credit here. I've had to move around a little bit, and I've absconded his space as my his workspace as my current studio space. And so far it's worked out pretty well. So if you see me looking around, usually I've had like a monitor kind of right above or below, like right in my line of sight for like looking at stuff and following the chat and things like that. Now I have a bigger monitor and it's like above. So if you see me looking up, I'm paying attention. Don't worry. I'm paying attention. But of course, this only affects those of you who are watching. And if you're watching on Facebook, we're glad you are. If you're watching on demand at some point on YouTube or anywhere else, we're glad you're doing that as well. We definitely need you to subscribe because that really helps us out a lot. And also on the audio version of the podcast, if you're an Apple Podcast user, please go find us there and follow or subscribe, whatever they call it. And the same on Spotify as well. Dawg, I'm going to get the ads out of the way here. Our sponsors, we want you to go. We don't want to spend so much time talking about what they do and how great they are. The best thing to do is go into the description wherever you are, and we have all of our sponsors linked right there. And they are Gatto Acupuncture and Wellness in Glen Rock, New Jersey. Book online at gattoacu.com or call 551-212-3845. The Mascolo Group, Realtors, award-winning, I should also say, serving all of your real estate needs in the Northern and Pascack Valley and all of Northern New Jersey, Dawg. Go to GaryMascolo.com or call 201-615-3665. FMSgraphics.com, Dawg, a family-run, family-owned business, as you know, for the last 50 plus years. All your printing and promotional needs can be taken care of with a few quick clicks. FMSgraphics.com. And of course, Big Ed's Car Wash, 17-16 River Road in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. So if you're in the Bergen County or the Passaic County area in New Jersey and your ride is not looking so clean, go see Big Ed. Ask for Ed. He's there almost all the time. And tell him Diamond Diehard sent you. Tell him Riz sent you. Whatever you want to say. Look out for Ed. Mookie, I know you need I know you like your cars clean, so go to Big Ed. The boys still help you out. Producer Xavier will usher you over there, and you get the warm treatment. So we got that in. Again, that's a little bit about our advertisers. Please go into the descriptions and find them and support them. Apparently there's been a blackout where Dawg is, so he's off the air, and that leaves you with me. So I will continue on further as we wait for Dawg to rejoin us. And of course, this only happens when you're doing things live. And if you're checking it out on demand, then you could just get a good laugh at it. You might know what happened. Dawg might even go on the Facebook chat and tell us what happened. Hopefully nothing too bad. I saw a light go out and then I saw the dog disappear. What we will be doing is we will be going to thankingthelines.com for our odds. That is where we will be sourcing the odds from. Thelines.com, very good site over there for this sort of thing, and gives you all the different operators. And if you pop onto the link, we have it in the description as well. If you pop into the link that we have in the description, then you will be able to see what we are talking about. And as the lines will move or change and things of that nature, you will be able to get updated ones there. The way it goes in gambling and online betting, let's just call it that, to make it easier, because and here comes the dog. I think he is back joining with us as we wait for. So it was a laptop crash on the dog, and he is ironing that out. We are awaiting his presence again. There he is. listed at the moment as the Dawg instead of the Dog.
I saw that just as I hit
Yeah.
click. I was like,
It
oopsie.
doesn't matter. It might not even be noticed later. If the people watching live might see it, but in the recording, it might not stay there. Dawg, I did you a great service. I
Excellent.
explained, or I just got to the one point of explanation, just short of how the betting lines work. So what you're going to see is plus things like plus 600 for the Astros, plus 750 for the Yankees. And what that means is when there's a plus in front of an odds figure, that means that is the amount of money that you would win if you put down $100 bet on the thing that you want to happen. So if you bet the Astros to win the World Series and you make $100 bet on them, you would get back 600 when they are plus 600. If there's ever a minus, which there will be some of those that we're going to talk about later when we do the over-unders, the season over-unders. If there's ever a minus, that means that is the amount of money you would have to put up to win back 100. So hopefully that explains it pretty easily. And if you want more information like on how to figure that out, if it's new to you, then you should jump in the chat here and we could help you figure that out. So Dawg, we are on the World Series odds, and the favorite is the Astros, and they are plus 600, which also means 6-1. Now we'll just use the first column over here, which is DraftKings. We'll just go by the DraftKings odds. Some of these odds may vary. They may change depending on when you're watching or listening to this. So for the time that we're doing this show, February 17th, 2023, on DraftKings, the Astros are 6-1. And Dawg, that's a pretty prohibitive favorite when you see the second favorite is the Yankees at plus 750, which is 7.5-1 or 13-2, if that's the way you like to do the odds. So Astros a prohibitive favorite to repeat here. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean they look strong still, unfortunately. And when I bet them, no, I think there's better odds out there to kind of give it a shot at. But it's tough to go against them given their track record.
If you're a like a Boomer Hilbert type, right? You like to make these bets early in the season. Explain why you'd like to go for somebody that's a little bit of a longer shot. And it's really, I think the quick explanation is that you don't get as much bang for your buck when you pick the favorite, right?
Correct. Yeah, and you see how close it is in baseball, right? That one thing just doesn't quite go your way or whatnot, and you get knocked down on it. So if you're you're, let's say, I don't know, looking at like the Padres, let's say, right? So the Padres are like plus 1100 versus the Astros at plus 600. So you're getting almost twice the payout extra. Are you really taking twice the risk for betting the Padres versus betting the Astros? That's sort of the way I would sort of think of it from a sort of a risk reward perspective. Or maybe the Dodgers, if you want to take a slightly, closer one on there, plus 600 versus plus 800, I'm getting significantly more upside with the Dodgers, and my risk that I'm taking is arguably not that much higher than the risk I'm taking with the Astros, in my opinion.
Okay, so you did the little preview of the Padres at plus 1100. The Yankees, we sort of told you plus 750, and if you go by DraftKings, the Mets also are plus 750. Kind of interesting, like when you see the movement of Verlander from the Astros to the Mets, it still hasn't moved the Mets to be a favorite over Houston overall, but 750, makes them the second favorite tied with the Yankees, according to DraftKings. The Dodgers are also in that mix on some of the casinos or operators, we'll call them, but they're plus 800 right now from what we're looking at. So the Dodgers would be slotted in just behind them. Are the Yankees and the Mets, you think, very that much equal that they should be having the same odds?
It's interesting. I think I would actually, if I was going to bet 1-2, I would actually go with the Yankees because I think the Mets have a they still have to face the Braves and even the Phillies within the division. So I think that makes it a tough one for the Mets even to get out of that. And then look at the Dodgers as well, right? I mean, you look at 7 or 8 of the highest, the lowest odd teams are all National League, right? So just to kind of get you to win the World Series, I mean, it really is a much tougher road. It looks like from the National League than from the American League.
Yeah. It's because those teams that you have to summit right at the top, right? So you have the Braves at plus 900 as well. You also talked about the Padres, and then we had the Dodgers there at plus 800. That's the same teams you figure battling out for the top spot that we thought, right? And then you have the next team is the Phillies, the defending NL champs, are plus 1700. So they're on DraftKings, you're getting a really good price on the Phillies, who seem to have only gotten better by adding Trey Turner, and a couple of other nice pieces over there. But that NL, like, do you sit there and you go, well, I mean, geez, I'd rather just take the Phillies. They got close already. What makes me think that they won't actually break through next year, that they could actually maybe have an even better regular season? But still, they have to beat out the Mets and the Braves. Like, how many times? Less times this year because there's less divisional play because of the open schedule. I call it the open schedule. It means all teams are playing all teams regardless of league this year. So that means you play within the division less. So less games for the Phillies against the Mets and the Braves, more games against some of the lesser lights in either league, but also more games against teams like the Yankees and the Astros, right? So I think it sort of kind of evens out, but the Phillies kind of look like the bargain to me, Dawg, at plus 1700 right now.
Yeah, I would agree 100% on that. That's exactly what I would look at too. I mean, it's interesting too with the baseball, like, you look at like to the Yankees, Dodgers, and Mets, right? Sort of rabid, and I guess Braves a little bit, but sort of rabid big market teams. A lot of guys going out and betting as well, right? So that's sort of like the start out where the odds, I think, and you know better than I, but I'm going to guess the odds are a little bit lower than normal because so many hometown fans are sitting there throwing money on their favorite teams versus looking at a true risk reward that you really should be looking at.
Yeah, it is fun though. Like for these, so here's the thing about these are called futures bets for the non-indoctrinated. And it means exactly that, right? Like you're betting on something that's happening in the future. The fun side to it is that you can follow it all year long. And if you take a big long shot, and that team happens to start doing well at different points during the season, most of these operators will give you the opportunity to cash out your bet at any time. So if you think your team is going to fall off the face of the earth and you want to get some of your money back, you could cash it out then. Or say you pick one of these teams like we'd have to go down the line here quite a bit. Let's say the Angels, right? The Angels are plus 5,000, right? If the Angels start out the season going 15-2 and you bet $100 on them, like you'll be able to cash that bet out for $122 or something. Like, like, so you could just take a $22 win at that point if you want. That's another way to work futures bets that a lot of people don't really talk about. They talk about hedging later on, and you make a bunch of futures bets, and you get to the point where, okay, like Dawg was saying, you're trying to gain value here. You pick one of these teams in the top. You pick the Padres, and the Padres are in the playoffs like you'd expect, and then they win the first round in the playoffs, whichever one of their rounds is. If it's the wild card round, or if they win the division and they get into right into the NLCS, you're going to be able to cash out that World Series bet, or you could start betting certain amounts on the other teams to win and guarantee yourself, like, okay, if the Padres win, I get this. If the Dodgers win, I get this. If the Blue Jays win, I get this. And if the Astros win, I get this, and you're putting up certain amounts of money, and that's what's called hedging. So the negative side to all that is typically
In energy, we call those dirty hedges.
yeah. Well, you want to, you need to have the bankroll to do it.
Yeah.
And you need to want to say, I want to make some wagers here during the season. And by the time the World Series is finishing, you're like 8 weeks into the NFL season. So you might have money, if you have $500 tied up in futures on baseball and, your bankroll is like 1,000, that's like $500 that you can't play with, in the first part of the NFL season. So think about what you're doing when you're tying up that money. I'm not a big futures player for that reason. And what I like to do is, so in the NFL, I made very small bets on the Giants before the season. They were fun bets. They weren't because I prognosticated that I thought the Giants were going to be good. I was like, I hope they're good. And if they make the playoffs, my $10 bet is going to win me 33. And they made the playoffs. So I won that bet. I also bet them to win the division. They didn't do that. I bet them to win the NFC and represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. They did not win that. I bet them to win the Super Bowl. They did not win that. But in the end, I spent like $22 on futures bets on the Giants, and I walked away with 33. So I made $11 to watch those bets during the season. Like, it was fun.
Yep.
And that was quite, I'm not a high bankroll player, Doc. I'm not a high bankroll. I make 10-cent bets sometimes for that.
Hitting singles. Punching.
Oh yeah. Whatever I have left. Like I'll calculate the percentages of what I have left to play with.
No high launch angle from Riz on the bidding.
Not usually. Every now and then.
Putting in play.
If I really like something and I'm kind of doing pretty well and it's a big event and I like the odds on it. Like last year's Super Bowl, I was all over the Bengals and the under, and I did pretty good. They didn't win the game, but I had them with getting 3.5 and they lost by 3. Let's go down the list here, Dog, before we close up this segment. So the Mariners, another playoff team who honestly, they gave the Astros the most problems. They didn't win, but they gave them a hell of a fight. And they look even better coming back this year. They're plus 1,800. The Cardinals, you can never count out, plus 1,900. Tampa Bay, plus 2,000. The Guardians are plus 2,200. The White Sox, this is where it starts to take a big jump. So the teams that have been pretty familiar with the playoffs the past few years, you're getting like 22-1 for the World Series at best. Then it takes a big jump, and now you start to get into some of those big payouts. So the White Sox they're plus 3,500, and so are the Brewers. The Angels we talked about plus 5,000. That's on DraftKings, and the other places they're more like plus 4,000. We think the Angels might be live again if they have the slingshot. Go back and listen to or watch the interview I did with their bench coach Ray Montgomery. That's the most watched video in the history of Diamond Diehards, I do believe, even more than the one where I fell on my ass and almost broke my neck and my back and my head. Dog, the Twins plus 4,500. The Rangers with DeGrom. This is an interesting one, plus 4,000. So according to DraftKings, they like the Rangers ahead of the Angels in the at least in the you could surmise that it means in the West. The Giants plus 5,500. This is now 2 years removed from a 107 win season, with now some changes in the cast. The Red Sox, nobody believes, plus 6,000. The Orioles nearly made the playoffs last season, plus 7,000. The Cubs, a lot of new additions. You and I talked about it in the Stratomatic ratings episodes, how they're defensively up the middle. They've gotten very, very strong, very, very quickly. And even defensively around the diamond, they might be the best defensive team in the league. That could give them a little boost. You might find them as a bargain at plus 8,000, which is the same as the Marlins, who don't seem to have what the Cubs necessarily have. Then you're really into the also rans, these teams that Vegas really think have no shot. The Diamondbacks, with all their young players, they feel like they're still a ways away at plus 15,000, which is, let's just call it 150 to 1. The Tigers 170 to 1, the Royals 200 to 1, same as the Reds. Then you're into the Pirates at 300 to 1, the Rockies at 400 to 1, the Nationals also at 400 to 1, and bringing up the rear, Dog, the A's at 500 to 1. You could get the A's at 1,000 to 1 plus 100,000 on, let's see, which operator is that? That is
FanDuel.
On FanDuel. Wow. FanDuel saying,
well, that's just interesting. Some of the big odds differences among the different houses and stuff. That it is interesting how you're kind of enticed in, and obviously showing how much of the book is they're already being hit on, right? So I'm guessing that maybe there's a lot of Texas folks when we're going in and hitting DraftKings. So now they got to sort of cut the odds on them versus all the other houses are offering significantly more for the Rangers than DraftKings already is.
yeah, it's kind of interesting though, if you look at it at like a certain angle, like in that case, like if you're just looking to make any kind of return on your investment, it could be small. Bet $1 on the A's at 1,000 to 1. And if they open the season like with like a 5-game winning streak, and they'll cash your bet at like $1.05, then just do it. Like, and then take the 5 cents that you just pocketed for nothing, and then go bet another $1 on them at like 500 to 1 or whatever. Like, so at least if they hit, like you covered it. But like, that's one way to do it. Like sometimes people will do that. They'll say, I'm going to pick somebody out of the pile here that's getting crazy odds, and I'm going to bet $10 on them and see if I could just make $1 on that bet by cashing it out if they get off to a hot start. Like maybe somebody has a really easy schedule through the first month, and you figure that out. Like it can be fun. Like that's how it's fun. Don't bet your mortgage money on this stuff. Like, have fun. I'm a big proprietor of the theory that small bets, big odds. If you don't have a life like me, I'm not going to the movies. This is like the money that I would spend on going to the movies or something. Or like I probably spend less on bad bets than I do like the rare times that I go out to a bar and have a few drinks. Like it's probably, this is, about like, it's not much, but it's
be like all the Twitter money advisors, right? Instead of buying a Starbucks each day, make coffee at home and bet it on the A's.
Yeah.
Take
Or
the
whoever.
Take the $4, throw it on the A's.
Well, the other thing is
each one, I'm like, you probably will make more money. You're not gonna make anything off the Starbucks.
You can watch these futures and like, so the flip side, Dog, is you say,
it's like stocks, right?
It is. Yeah, it is
to a degree. Right.
You could say this philosophy. I think the Astros in the end are going to win it, but if the Astros start 10 and 15, they're going to be a lot more than plus 600 to win the World Series. And that might be the time that you jump on them, because you say, wow, I'm getting the Astros at 12 to 1 instead of 6 to 1. I'm going to do that. But if the Astros,
find like somebody who's like got a whole bunch of players, so like the WBC or something like that, and kind of coming out slow out of the gate or something like that, or some guys like coming off rehab or something like that are going to take a little bit to get going.
Or maybe the guys at the WBC, the teams that are loaded with those guys, maybe those guys get into midseason form more quickly and they get off like Ohtani and Trout.
There you go. That's what makes a market, right? So you think that? I don't think the other thing.
Dog building the case for the Angels right now. I mean, I'm going to probably put money on them again. Like, all right, Dog, let's do that. Okay. So we're on the lines.com odds/world-series, which the link is in the description. Now, Dog, let's hit that toggle and go down to regular season wins. Tell me when you're there.
I'm here.
Okay. So these are the over-unders. Made famous by, Mike and the Mad Dog, who would just go through them before the season and just go through over, under,
under,
over,
under.
over, under. I did great on the over-unders this year, dog. I got 33 right. Mike, there's not 33 teams in the league. Back after this.
Mons, check that.
So,
Check the
Doug,
tape.
very interestingly, and again, we'll use the DraftKings column. It's the first column, except where they might not have the odds posted, and then we'll just move over to FanDuel or something. Again, thanks to lines.com for this. So the Astros, even though they're the World Series favorite, their over-under for the season win total is 95.5, which is the same as the Dodgers. And the Dodgers are not that prohibitive a favorite as the Astros are to win the World Series. So what this has to do with is it has to do with the teams that are in their division and the perception of how much better they are than the rest of the group. So that explains the over-unders, and that's why you don't have the Astros as the World Series favorite needing to be the team that has the highest over-under for wins. So, Dawg, does that explain it in layman's terms enough? So the Uncle Pauls can kind of understand this if they're not familiar with the terms?
we can kind of use like two of the higher ones here, right? The Mets and Braves, right? Where the Braves were, a little bit back of the Mets and Yankees as the number 2 teams, even though they're projected basically have the same over-under as the Mets, right? So it's really a kind of a toss-up between the two, which again kind of comes down to who should you bet, right? If you're just looking at if you're 2 teams, same division, both looking to win about the same amount of games, you would argue that you'd rather put the bet on the Braves than the Mets, unless you think the Mets are better set up for the wild card because the top guys, they have top rotation. Maybe that's an argument on it, but I think that's probably pretty de minimis relative to getting 20 or 30% higher payout with the Braves than you would with the Mets.
Yeah.
So you'd like to go long the Braves, short the Mets is the way you'd like to arbitrage it. So.
Right. So the other thing that they do here is they change the odds. It's not always the same odds. So typically what you'll see, like for the Astros on DraftKings, we're looking at the over at 95.5 wins is -110. That means you have to put up $110 to win back 100. And the under at 95.5 wins is also -110. But you get to the Dodgers, and the Dodgers are 95.5 wins, but to bet the over, it's -125. To bet the under, it's +105. So if you like the Dodgers under 95.5, it's actually a better bet in terms of your money. You bet 100 to win back 105 if they go under. You have to bet 125 to win back 100 if they go over. So sometimes that's worth mentioning. But typically, I think that when you're looking at it, you're more concerned with just the number, and you're not looking to win these by like a game either way. You're looking to win these by a bunch of games, and some of that they call it the juice. Some of that juice, like on the Mets, is their over is -105, their under is -115. So actually it does, and the Braves are -110 over and -110 under 94.5. So there's different ways to formulate these bets. And I think Dawg,
look at the Yankees, right? Yankees even more so, the +100 and then
so the Yankees,
right?
Yeah, the Yankees are 94.5 over under, +100 to go over, -120 to go under. So they're really telling you that they're more favored to go just under that number, that they're just slightly more likely to hit their top at 94 wins as opposed to 95. Interesting, right?
I'm guessing, is the +100 now, is that a typo? It looks like
No.
it.
No. That's
+100, that's the way it works?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's even money. They're even money to go over. And they're, you have to pay a little bit if you want to bet them under. So That's interesting, right? They're
Yeah.
kind of in that spot, and I wonder if that is not reflective of the schedule. Because typically the AL East schedule is so difficult that it kind of has knocked down some of these preseason over-unders. But now with the I don't know, do we call it a balanced schedule? I call it the all schedule. I don't really know. I have to believe it factors in. There's more travel. These teams in the AL East that all would play so close together so many times, now they have to not only go out to the West Coast to play the Angels and the A's and the Mariners, they have to play the Giants, the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks, and the Padres, right? And the Rockies. So it's not just that their division has come up this year that they have to go play those teams. They have to play all of them, and they have to travel to Missouri, not only to play the Royals, but also to play the Cardinals, right? You play everybody and you play them. I guess, I don't know, Dawg, do you actually play them home and away? Or is it just potentially one series in either spot? You know what? I had that question. I had looked it up and I don't remember the answer.
I've not looked at it yet, to be honest. I would be surprised if they had home and home, because that would seem to be too many games.
Yeah, I feel like you're right.
Yeah.
Like, even if those are 2-game series, it's kind of
Like
too
at
much.
least cross league, right? I mean, I could see that within the league maybe, but it sort of feels like it'd be hard to imagine doing more than 3 games, like the cross league play.
Yeah, I don't know. We gotta check on it. But I feel like the schedule is definitely a factor because some of these numbers look lower. Typically, you'll see some of these teams at close to 100, and nobody's close. Like, if you look at some of the other operators, like the Astros are 95.5 on FanDuel. So there's a big difference between what they have and what DraftKings has. It's 2 more wins that you got to get. You get a little better odds, but still, why not go with the lower threshold if you're trying to go over? The Padres not listed on DraftKings at this moment, Dawg. So we'll use the FanDuel 93.5. Do we start talking about these? Like, we're just talking about the lines. Like, do we actually make our predictions over here? Like, I don't know, preview.
Yeah, we save
I
it.
think
Yeah,
I
save
said
it though. Save it though.
save it for the end. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe we just come up with like a couple of these at the end. Blue Jays 91.5 over under. Phillies 88.5. Same with the Cardinals and the Rays. That's 88.5. Mariners 87.5. Guardians 86.5. Brewers with this disgruntled Corbin Burns 85.5. The White Sox 83.5. The Twins 82.5. Same with the Rangers. So the Rangers with the additions there now predicted their threshold is to finish over 500. That's where they've put the threshold. The Angels 81.5. So with their improvements, their threshold is now predicted right at the 500 mark or just slightly above. And that's where the Giants are as well. The Red Sox at 77.5. That's got to be enticing always, but you just don't know. You never know when they're going to rise out of anywhere, and their manager's great, and I don't know. They're the same as the Cubs. The Cubs and the Red Sox are both 77.5. Do with that what you like. The Orioles only 76.5. That seems crazy to me. Do we think that they're going to regress?
No respect there from Vegas. Yeah, I mean, I think the Orioles were kind of a team on the right, especially if you think the Red Sox are going to still remain weaker. I mean, that's basically the Orioles kind of helped pick up some of the wins there that maybe the Red Sox used to kind of eat up. So that does seem too low for, frankly, both those teams.
Is that one that we're going to say that we like?
Yeah, let's go for it. Go for that.
Yeah, it could be a little bit of a sucker bet there because the over 76.5 is minus 120. The under is plus 100. So they're even enticing you further to take the under. I'm not biting. I like the Orioles over that. We're going to have to mark that down. We like the Orioles over 76.5. That's in the chat. So go back and check that out in the chat. They're the same as the Marlins. The Marlins are 76.5. I mean, come on. Now the Marlins have some of that pitching and they've made some improvements, but the Marlins also have the Mets, Phillies, and Braves in front of them in the division. I mean, that's going to be tough.
That's a toughie.
The Orioles have the Yankees and the Rays, but like you said, the Red Sox are not the Red Sox right now, right?
Yeah. It feels like at least one of those two got a hit between the Red Sox. I don't see them both being weaker.
The Orioles trending upward. You'd figure they would be the ones. Diamondbacks 74.5. I might like them. Tigers 70.5. I thought the Tigers were going to bound up last year and they really disappointed me. So I might take a look at them, feeling like I was like a year too early on them. So that's one that interests me on the over. The Royals 69.5, Pirates 67.5. Pirates also have some interesting guys there too. And the Pirates gave me love on Twitter the other day.
Really?
That was that. Oh, you missed that. I think you liked the tweet.
I might have.
Yeah, they literally gave me the love symbol, like the love emoji with the with the two hands together.
That's right.
Because I said they complete me, that they were talking about pitchers and catchers coming in.
That was I forgot that was the Pirates. That's what it was.
Yeah. I think they could bounce. I mean, and again, that division is a place where they could make up ground. But you know,
I was going to take the under again on the Pirates.
You going under?
I think so. I think anytime they get anything good going there, they look to sell.
That's a good point.
It's too bad. I mean, you kind of deep down sort of root for the Buccos, but I don't know.
They've put some pretty good young players together there, Dawg.
They do. They don't hold on to them. That's the problem. They develop them for other people, unfortunately.
Yeah, but they're in position now where none of those guys are going to be going anywhere anytime soon. It's not really I mean, I guess you could try to argue Brian Reynolds, but that's sort of the easier spot to replace. I mean, you got O'Neal Cruz, you got Cabrian Hayes, you got, the guy, I forget his name, whose phone was in his back pocket. What he do with
That's right.
He's good though. He's freaking good. They brought in G-Man Choi. I mean,
10-cent head, but
they brought in some guys. They brought in some veteran guys that could really help those young studs add up. And those kids, if they start breaking out right away, they could clear that hurdle easily.
Now that's an interesting one to sort of do, like you were talking before about, like play them early and then maybe look to fade them.
Oh, that could be, you could do that too.
Yeah, that's
that too.
play for them.
Rockies 65.5, Reds 65.5, Nationals, Dawg, and the A's are all the way down at 60.5. So that's brutal. I mean, you could bet the over.
You don't have to take the over on that.
You could bet the over, and they could lose 100 games, and you'd hit the over if they ended up at 62 and 100. You would hit it 61 and 101 if the A's and the Nationals hit that.
Double-digit loser, not for me.
You could win, and they have to play each other this year. So that's some combination of games that they have to win. So that's a big drop off for those two bottom teams from 65.5 to 60.5, and FanDuel has them at 59.5. So that's a big difference right there. I think even like every one of those wins, boy, is like excruciating if you bet the overs. All right, so we said we like the Orioles 76.5. That's both of us were unanimous on that. I'm gonna like the Angels over 81.5, Dawg. I'm gonna put that out there. I'm looking for something where I could go for an under, and it's hard for me to say, but like, I feel like if some of those other teams in the NL Central get a little stronger, maybe the Cardinals go under 88.5, because they could kind of still win and do everything and not have to hit that high a number. They don't have to get to that 89th win to kind of accomplish everything that they need to accomplish, right? So I feel like maybe the Cardinals could be an under team for me. I don't expect that the bottom would fall out from underneath them, but I think they could be an under team for me. What do you think?
I think they're still gonna hang, but tying into kind of where you're going with that, I'm thinking of Brewers as an under 85.5. I don't think they've done a whole ton in the off season, and I think again, especially more balanced schedule, tougher, maybe some tougher opponents this year. I think that could be a little source of regression there. So I think I would take the under on the Brew Crew.
Okay, that's an interesting call out because I was really, really looking at those two teams and feeling like I just feel like it's easier to hit the under at the Cardinal threshold. Like the Brewers could sort of spoil it. They could hit
The
that
Cardinals just have
86
such
win.
a good organization.
I know.
That's why I sort of have more faith in the Cardinals finding a way to figure it out. But I don't have quite the same confidence in the Brew Crew.
Yeah, I don't dislike the under for Milwaukee either. I could definitely be enticed into that. I would look for it again, like, so now we get into a little bit of the specifics here. The Cardinals are 88.5 over under on every operator. The Brewers are 86.5 on the over under on FanDuel, but for instance, they're 85.5 on DraftKings. So if you're going under, you'd rather do it on probably FanDuel, right? Like if you get 86.5, because that's one more win that you could afford, but you don't get as good of odds. It's minus
Yeah, you get payout.
110 or minus one, it's minus 122 to do it under 86.5. So it's interesting how all this stuff really works. We're kind of at the top. I mean, I guess we got to do, we should probably put it out there. Why don't we do this top group here among the teams that we talked about at the top? Astros 95.5. Dog, which way are you going?
Over.
Dog will go over
Even though I hate him.
on the Astros. I'll go under on the Astros because I think they have to make the adjustment to Verlander for the full season, even though they have a lot of guys still there behind him. I think maybe some of the newer rules with like the speed up pitching and things like that, and now the rock the baby delivery affects at least one of their starters and maybe a couple of guys like on the team. There's a little bit of adjustment there. Plus, I think that the teams in the division have gotten better. So I was looking for a little regression from the Astros last year. I think I got it in the regular season. I didn't get it in the playoffs, but I'll go gun to my head, Mikey. I'm going to take the Astros under. Dodgers at 95.5. I think you go under here because I know the Dodgers are the Dodgers, but man, there's a lot of personnel changes in Chavez Ravine, Dog. I gotta feel like, again, these are teams that can still accomplish their goal and go under the total, which means there might be games at the end of the season that they don't have to try to win. I think the Dodgers are maybe in that spot.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think I'm going to go with you on that one, and I think I'm going to take the under on the Dodgers as well. With that, just a tougher division on there. Though supposedly Syndergaard's looking a little better, so maybe he helps fill the rotation gap a little bit there. But we will see. But all in all, I think the Dodgers are going to be down. I think sort of tied in with that. I think the Padres are a little bit better too. So it's going to be a little bit more like we kind of thought last year was going to be.
Okay, good call on that. This is where it gets tough, Dog. Braves 94.5, Mets 94.5. Let's do them in tandem. What do you think?
You know,
I'm going
I'm
Mets
taking
over.
I'm taking
going
over on
Mets over.
both actually.
Oh,
I think they're both gonna be over it now. Who wins that one? Tune in later on in spring training as we do the divisional picks down the road there. I think they're both gonna be really good, honestly.
wow, that's a great call. I'm definitely going over on the Mets. Because I think that they're going to try to front run. I think they're going to try to pile up as many wins as they can early in the season. I think the schedule for them definitely plays more into their advantage. The Braves, I think, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they stumbled a little bit coming out of the gate. Boy, this is a tough one. You might have the right idea with both of them going over. I am going to just blatantly copycat you, Dog. I'm going to say they both go over.
Well, I mean, just look at their off seasons, right? I mean, it's hard to say either team really got worse. I mean, you could argue maybe the Mets, sort of held serve, but
Oh, I mean,
that's
there's no.
each won 101 last year, right? So
you took
it's-
Dansby Swanson out of the Braves.
yeah. So
That's a hole to fill, especially considering the year that he had last year.
Yeah.
That's a big one. But yeah,
that's
I'll
true.
go over with you.
If I was going to guess one of the two to kind of disappoint, I could see the Braves that they had so many things go right for them last year. Like they could do no wrong with like any personnel move, and it does feel like you should get some sophomore slumps in there somewhere along the way. So if I was going to pick between the two, that would be slightly weaker. Maybe I'm giving a promo of my division call. Sure.
Well, I mean, I like the idea. I like the idea behind it.
But I do still think that like both will take the over though.
So much so that I stole your idea. Yankees 94.5. This is an easy one for me. I think the Yankees get this solidly. Like, I'm surprised it's actually that low.
Yeah, I'd take the over.
Okay. It's 94.5, by the way, if we didn't just mention that. The Padres, we don't have it on DraftKings at the moment. So we'll go with the FanDuel here. 93.5. Still pretty high. Still a few questions. I'm real torn on this one, Dog, but I guess I got to go first because you've been going first for the last few. What I'm wondering about the Padres is, how is it going to pan out? How long will it take for all their shortstop based guys? No, I mean this as a real assessment. They have all these guys that are shortstops by trade that are going to be playing different positions, except for whichever guy ends up being the shortstop, right? Yep. And the guy who was the shortstop last year was like rated the best defensive shortstop like in the National League, and he's like not going to be playing shortstop this year. So I think it's Xander Bogaerts that's going to be playing shortstop. And you got Tatis coming back about a month into the season or something like that. I think he's going to be their right fielder, so he's got to adjust to that. I like all the other stuff. You have Manny Machado saying he's going to opt out after the season. Now, why would you even say that? I mean, just keep your mouth shut. They got a lot of talent. They came very close to getting to that World Series last year, but I feel like, and I think there's a little Dodger regression, but I feel like I feel like I'm going under the 93.5 for them, just because, again, stumbling out of the gate or just not finding their mojo until later, they could still accomplish their season goal with 90 wins, probably. So that's why I go under 93.5 for the Padres.
I'm going to agree with you on that one. I think great call out on it. I think you're spot on. I do think they're better and more competitive, and will take some, knock Dodgers out a little bit in the regular season. But yeah, I think that's a little bit high for them.
Okay, Jays 91.5. I feel like this team is just we've felt like they were arriving for 2 years, and now is not the time to jump ship. So I'm going over on the Blue Jays 91.5. I think they could, again, this could be a 95 win team that loses the division by 6 games. So, but I think they're going to try to be in the fight. I think some of the pitching stuff finally really comes together. And we know about the lineup. Like, I don't think the lineup's getting worse. The defense has definitely got some holes, but they also made some interesting changes here. Like some of the guys they moved out versus some of the guys they moved in. So I am not in the past, Dog. I would have totally jumped ship. I would have been like, these guys, like, I thought these guys were going to do it last year. I thought they were going to do it the year before. I am not backing them again. No, that's the opposite. I will back them even more now with the 91.5. I don't think that's an easy number, but I think they will be an over for me.
Under. For all the reasons you laid out. I think the rest of the division is gonna be a little bit tougher this year. And you know, the Yankees, I think, will be moving up. I think I'll sort of foreshadow a little bit. I think some of the other teams will be moving up. And I think the Blue Jays are actually gonna want to give them a little bit back.
Wow.
Plus everyone gets to travel this year.
Yeah, that's a big one too. You gotta get in and out of the country a lot more times, right?
Yep. So,
good point. But
yeah.
you got a lot of people that are more inconvenienced by entering your country.
True.
Mailing it in. Oh man, we got to cross the border. I'm just gonna take the first game off. Phillies over under 88.5. I'm trying to figure out a way that the top 3 teams in the division could go over. And I gotta take them to go over. I think you're like, I don't think that if the Mets and the Braves go over 94.5, that prevents the Phillies from being a 90 win team. I think they do it. And I think that the Marlins and the Nationals are, in for rough campaigns, with the Marlins being in for a rougher campaign than they had last season. So I'm going to say the Phils over 88.5 off the big season last year.
And this is a tough one for me here. But I think I'm going to take the under in that one. I think Ty Walker is going to disappoint for him a little bit. And I think they're counting on him a lot. And I'm not sure he's going to be quite as good for them, especially over the whole season, that they sort of signed up. It's too bad. It's a nice guy. Good follow on the Twitter. But yeah, I think the Phils will regress a little bit, and that's almost really more of a function of just a tough division. So still a good team, still an over 500 team, probably a wild card team. But I think 88.5 might be a little bit high for them.
I don't know. Improved defense, Harper back all the way. Pitching, is still super good at the top, with Nola and Wheeler. They improved the bullpen. Like, and they add Turner. I don't know. I feel like it's a better team than the one that went to the World Series, but we'll see. Cardinals are next, 88.5. I already said under. Dog, what do you think?
Well, I guess you got to keep going. So I got the over on the Cardinals. I think they figure a way to find that.
Rays 88.5. Interesting this year. They're starting to pay guys. And I wonder, like, the one thing I thought, I'm like, the Rays are starting to pay guys. I wonder if this is how it starts to unravel for them. Like, where they just haven't paid guys before. So I'm only for that reason, I'm going to take a shot and say under. But I think, again, this is, the Rays are the ones who you always want to say, how could they do it? You look at the roster, you're like, really? And then all they do is they just go out and they win. But yeah, I'll say now, I'll take a shot, and I'll say now that they started paying some guys, they go under. What do you think?
I'm going to checker with you. I think for just the reasons laid out, I think the Rays are going to be a little bit improved. They had a little bit of health problems last year. I think that's going to kind of reverse this year. And sort of some of the Jays coming down, I sort of have the Rays kind of coming back up a little bit. So
Okay.
I see them bouncing back.
Dog likes the over. Mariners 87.5. This is definitely an over for me. I think they could. I mean, I think they could just bust through this. I think they contend for the division. Again, I'm looking for a little Astro regression, especially out of the gate. And for the other teams in the division that are not the A's to kind of take advantage of it. So I like the Mariners over 87.5.
Yeah, I'm kind of hopping on your Mariners bandwagon. You've been on them and been right on them for last year or so. So I'm actually gonna take the over on the Mariners as well.
Guardians 86.5. In that weak ass division.
No view.
Yeah. Can I bet them to win 86.5 games?
Yeah, exactly.
Could that just be a tie? Like, could I just bet them to win?
Just say over one side, under the other, and
yeah.
Just give up my $5 and move along.
Yeah. Well, what you could do is
good offer.
So it's minus 110 for the over and the under on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, the under 86.5 is plus 104. So if you wanted to break the tie, you could say, I'll just bet the under on FanDuel because I'm getting plus 104. Like, I can't tell. I could tell you this. They're going to end up with either 86 or 87 wins. Like, it's not going to be 88. It's not going to be 85. It's not going to be 72. It's not going to be 92. It's going to be 86 or 87. It's going to be right at the number.
I'm going to do it at BetMGM. I'm going to take the under on 87.5. And
they're
87. I'm going to hammer both.
Yeah, you're going to play the middle. Dogs play the middle. Okay. That's our Guardian answer. That counts as an answer to me. Brewers Dog says under 85.5 for the Brewers. I'll back you on that. A little bit of a question still after, they let Josh Hader go in the deal to the Padres. Devin Williams just doesn't, sort things as the closer, and doesn't stay healthy either. I mean,
Corbin's unhappy.
If he's got the airbender going from day one, it's a non-issue. But the thing is, then, he's not setting up for the all-world lights out closer. Is that worth a couple of wins? Yeah, probably. So I'll go under on the Brewers too. How about that? I went under on the Brewers and the Cardinals somehow. Do we keep going, or is that good enough? White Sox, Twins, Rangers.
Yeah.
Okay, I got
Rangers, Angels, maybe, and
Giants. I got over on the Angels. I got over on the Angels, 81.5. You want to give me a take? Either way,
I'll go under. I'll go check with you on that one.
Okay, Rangers 82.5 over under. This is a tough one.
It's a tough one. I don't like what they've done.
You don't like them getting Jacob deGrom and John Gray? They're your two favorite pitchers of all time. It's like if Dawg was a GM and you were like, okay, I got a GM.
Yeah, that's true.
Come on, Dawg. If you were a GM and you're like, it was sort of
I didn't like their DeGrom deal.
Okay.
I like getting DeGrom.
Wait. Hold on a sec. There are very few general manager jobs in baseball that are ever available. And Dawg, you fulfill a lifelong dream, even though it wasn't your aspiration or your career path. The Rangers owner comes up to you and says, Dawg, I love the show. I want to give you a shot as our GM.
You're a number guy. Make numbers for me.
You're a numbers guy. And now he's like, do you have an open checkbook? Do what you like. Well, we just signed Seager and Simeon last year. Big deals. I don't care. Go get me guys. I want to try to win. We got the new park. We're out of COVID. We're going to fill the stadium. If you get wins, go do what you need. Dawg's like, okay, who are two pitchers that I absolutely love? John Gray and Jacob deGrom. Okay. I got one. Now I'm going to go get the other. So how are you sitting there and saying that you don't love the Rangers? It's not your money that you're worried about.
All right. That's fair. And I will say that the Rangers would be another one to play early and then fade as DeGrom pulls a something somewhere along the season, unfortunately. Though he might have started already. He's already got a pain in the side. But yeah, I guess that's true. You know, that just shaded me into it. My two favorite guys. Fine, I'll take the over. I'll get a Fry guy side. I'm fading him by August, though. I'm hammering him in August. They got options on this.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm buying puts in August.
I'm gonna go under. No, I'm kidding. That would be great if I just talked Dawg into going over. So no, listen. I thought that if I was in that position, like I think that totally in the Riz character.
I love the John Gray signing. You know,
in the Riz,
I love that
one. In the Riz character, right? If you're gonna take it, if you're the Rangers and you're gonna take a shot, then I'm willing to take the shot on Jacob friggin' DeGrom. Because if Jacob DeGrom comes anywhere near being healthy for 80% of this contract, you stole him. And not one person that I've heard besides my idiot self thinks that there's any way that this deal could work out for Texas. I think it can. I mean, this reminds me, this is a better version of when the Mets signed Pedro. The Mets had to bite the bullet and sign Pedro because if they didn't do it, they never turn their franchise around. This is like what they need. Who's to say DeGrom later in his career doesn't figure out how to tamp it down in a certain way that he can get through an entire season in an era where pitchers are being coddled. Isn't that where all the trending is going anyway?
The rest of his career history argues against it, unfortunately. I love the guy.
Let me give you the reverse.
He came back last time. He's throwing harder and harder, right?
Let me give you the reverse. Let me give you the reverse argument.
All right.
He's a 34-year-old that has that sort of apparently high injury threshold that lowers his mileage. He's thrown less innings over the course of the last 4 years than a 34-year-old workhorse. Like, look at what happened to Felix Hernandez, right? He just basically fell off a cliff at one point because he had too many innings. This guy has been, taking time off. Look what happened with like a Strasburg. He was coddled and he was kept out. And then, when he put it together, he got a ring out of it. I mean,
and then he broke everything. No, well, you got the TOS. I mean, that's a bolt in the blue. The problem with Strasburg, but
yeah. And Harvey, right? Harvey had
yeah.
It. So
yeah, both those are more one-offs.
Listen, by that estimation, I'm going to do what Dawg did, and I will go to FanDuel and I will take the over 81.5 instead of having to do it at 82.5, which gets me. Well, let's see. I got to pay minus 118 to get that. So, wait, I could do it on. Hold on. Who's this? Bet Rivers. Oh, okay. Bet Rivers. I could get over 81.5 at minus 114, which is better than minus 118. So maybe I do it there. Whatever. Oops.
There you go.
I just lost my spot. Oh, shit, Dawg. All right, I'm back. Angels we talked about. Did you want to do the San Fran Giants
Sure.
or no?
Yeah.
81.5. I feel like the regression last year was quite enough. I think everybody made way too big a deal about them not getting Aaron Judge and them not getting and then rejecting Carlos Correa. Like, I think them rejecting Carlos Correa shows that they're a sound organization, because that is a hard thing to do. So from that, can they win 82 games? Yeah, with what they have. Sure. Why not? To get to 82, are they going to win 107 like they did a few years ago? I don't think so, but they had a lot of regression last season, and they'll probably gain back a little bit of what they lost the year before. I think they're a solid over bet, San Francisco.
It's a tough one for me. I mean, let's see. I had the Dodgers under, gave the Padres under 2, which now I'm starting to regret. So I've been painting myself in the corner on this one. I don't know. My heart still says under on this one. I don't know who's going to win any damn games out there.
What does your wallet say?
Maybe my problem. I think they realized they need something that they couldn't really get it in the off season. So I'm gonna stick with the under as their position right now. Wow.
All right, let's do we did the Orioles before. We both like the over 76.5. Let's just wrap it up with the Red Sox and the Cubs. How about that?
That sounds good.
They're both 77.5. I mean, how many teams in the AL East can I pick to hit the over? I picked 2, and I picked the Rays to be under. And I picked the Orioles to be over. I guess by definition, Dawg, I kind of have to pick the Red Sox to be under 77.5. I don't like that pick now that I look at the way I picked the others. So that means I would pick the Red Sox and the Rays to be under, the Orioles, the Yankees, and the Jays to be over. So I got to put it out there, I guess. I don't feel comfortable with that pick, but I'd rather pick the Orioles to be over 76.5 than pick the Red Sox to be over 77.5. So I'll say the Red Sox under for that reason.
All right. I'm actually going to take the Red Sox over. I think they bounced back over a disappointing year last year. And I think they brought some new guys in. They did lose Bogarts, but they got Devers in. So I think that overall, I think I'm gonna go take the over on the Red Sox.
Okay.
500 team.
Yeah, well, yeah, that gets them there. I mean, comfortably, right? That gets you there comfortably. Cubs 77.5. This will wrap it up. I'm going over on this one. I like the moves that they've made. I think these are the kind of moves that sort of pay immediate dividends. Dansby Swanson doesn't have to be last year's Dansby Swanson to make a huge impact on this team. His glove alone does it. Nico Horner was one of the best fielding shortstops last season. He moves over to second, so your defense is strong over there. You got Happ, you got Suzuki, you got Cody Bellinger. That's the best defensive outfield probably in baseball. I don't know. There might be other ones that are as good. There's probably not one that's better than that. They got a couple of holes here and there. They got to figure out a little bit, what they're doing behind the plate. They have some promising, decent arms. If they get any kind of pitching, and they figure out a little bit in the bullpen, I think they could surprise a lot of teams, especially in that division. I could just see them winning, Dawg, all these 1-run games. Like their record in 1-run games, I'm expecting has a chance to be really good. And when you're good in those 1-run type games, I think those are the teams that have great chances to hit these over-unders, because these thresholds are kind of based a lot on figuring you're going to be 500 in 1-run games. I like the Cubs over 77.5.
Okay. It's funny. I was leaning under. I'm kind of digging what you're saying. I also kind of have the Brewers kind of coming back down to earth, and I think I have the over on the Cards, but that number wasn't huge either.
Say it.
I'll go. I'll take the over. I'll go over with you.
Say it.
We'll finish together.
Say it. You love the Cubs. You want them to
I'm
go
like under
over.
everyone else in the NL, so I guess I have to be over somebody. So, other than the Mets and the Braves, I guess I get them over.
Yeah, that was a good one. I like this. I like this segment. We haven't really done too much of this. Thanks to the lines.com. You can go check that link in the description, no matter where you are. And of course, we want you to check out the show in any way, shape, or form that you see fit. If you're on the Facebook group, typically when we do these, this is a Friday night live, right? This has turned out to be a live stream. A lot of people must be busy on Friday night. This was not a lively live stream tonight, but it was for us. I think there were nobody in the comments except for the dog guy.
We tend to surprise our audience.
Yeah, we
And
ambushed him.
sometimes even our co-hosts.
Yeah, we ambush our co-hosts right out of bed sometimes, like today. You could go back if you're watching this on demand. You can go back. Feel free to add to the comments because a lot of people go back and watch the shows there anyway. We also will post them on the Facebook page, which is like the business-ish version of it. We do it on YouTube as well. That's where you can find the videos. So subscribe there. Even if there's one place in particular where you watch it, if you always watch the Facebook group, do us a solid and go on YouTube and hit the subscribe button there, and go on either iTunes or Spotify or both, and hit the follow or subscribes there, because it really, really, really helps us a lot. It helps us appear in different algorithms. It helps spread the show. That's kind of how these things grow. It's, in a way, it's like telling a friend to tell a friend by hitting subscribe. It all of a sudden it'll, it's great to hear from people that like, hey, I opened YouTube the other day and like I saw your video come up in the like suggestions. I'm like, good. Did you click it? Because I just click it and watch it, or just let it play in the background, or watch it at double speed, like whatever they want.
Good subscription. Oh, good bell. Hit the bell. Hit the bell.
That's an alert. Hey, good subscription. Good subscription. Inside baseball on a baseball podcast. It's not just a podcast about baseball, Dog. It's a podcast about baseball and about life. Don't forget to check out previous episodes too, including the previous one to this, where Dog made an epic rant, of course, a timely epic rant about the 2007, 2008 Mets.
The love's back. He loves back. Betsy loves back. Spring training. We all were looking ahead.
Yeah. So Dog's epic rant is on a previous episode to this, so go check that one out.
Should we do the shout out to the Tim McCarver Moneyball clip that he had as well?
Oh yeah,
that was pretty solid too. Everyone go check out the McCarver voiceover on Billy Bean in Moneyball when he's coming up with the Metsies. So great clip on there.
Yeah, and throughout his other travails. Yeah, it's a great clip. I mean, McCarver's so good. Sad to hear about the loss of Mr. McCarver, but fortunately
life well lived, right?
Yeah, we know, and we he did a lot. He didn't just do baseball stuff. He did a lot of stuff. He recorded an album. You can go check that out on YouTube. Look for that. I don't know if we'll link that. We'll let people just go find that themselves. But anyway, we appreciate your support. And if you want to interact with us, the Facebook group is a great place. Twitter, probably even better. We're on there constantly. And we appreciate all the support leading up to it and all that is coming in the future. Guests being lined up, including Mike Puma, the Mets beat reporter for the New York Post. I believe he's one of, if not the longest running beat reporter for assigned to any particular team in New York. So once Pooh is down and settled at spring training, he's going to jump on with us for a show, and we look forward to that. And of course, we're working on a few other things as well. So stay tuned and keep following us, however you've been before or however you need to again. That is going to wrap it up for, we're going to call it a Friday Night Live, Dog. We did it. And we back on with you again.
Diamond Dog loves it.
Oh yeah. Can you get her into the picture while I'm doing the outro here? Follow the dog on Twitter at Jeff Healy 8. That's the number 8. And you can follow me, Joe Rizzo, at Diamond Diehards on there. That's going to wrap it up for the Friday Night Live. February 17th, pitchers and catchers have reported Tim McCarver has departed us. And that, folks, is baseball, and that is life. For the Dawg, Jeff Healy, this is Joe Rizzo. Diamond Diehards is out.